Welcome, everybody. I am so excited to be here. I was just working on getting something out of my teeth. This is the women's game, and we are live. It is just literally minutes. There was no stoppage time in that game, Kling. I had to sprint upstairs after the final whistle of the USA versus Ireland friendly. The U.S. women's national team got a 4-0 win over Ireland with goals from Avery Patterson, Sam Coffey, Rose Lavelle, and Alyssa Thompson. I am so happy to be joined here late night by TWG regular at this point, recently retired U.S. women's national team and Portland Thorns defender, now the host of the U.S. Soccer Podcast, Meghan Klingenberg. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, thank you. Yes, glad to be here. Barely hanging on. So everybody, it could be a wild ride.
That's why we have you on here, Kling. I cannot wait. All right, we are going to react to this game. We're going to have Kling answer all of our questions. But first, if you're new here, let me explain the show tonight. This is a TWG Live, woo woo, which means that you, our listeners, you're here with us live. So you get to call in and ask us any question that you want. You're just going to scan the QR code in the top left of your screen. It will take you into a Zoom with our producer, Tony. Tony will get you all set up to ask your question. Don't worry, you're not going to be on screen. We're going to get to those questions a little bit later in the broadcast, but go ahead and get in line now. Make sure you get your question in there. If you don't want to ask a question, just give us a like. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and join us on this channel. I do see some good old-fashioned regulars in the chat over there. Dawn in Memphis, my guy, says hey to Kling. Let's see who else we've got. Jay Howard says Alyssa was carving up those Irish ladies. TR says the more I see of Hutton, the more I like. So I'm very excited to talk about all of this with you, Kling. Everybody in the chat, thank you for being here. We're going to get to your questions in just a few minutes. Very quickly, I do just want to give a low ticket alert to anybody out there who is thinking about coming to our live show in DC on Monday night. We have some amazing guests coming to be with us at the Howard Theater to highlight the U.S. women's national team versus Canada rivalry game that is taking place on Wednesday. So if you want to come, get your tickets now. Those are going to be sold out very, very soon. Okay, Kling, let's get right into it. First things first. In the time that we've last spoken, you've announced your retirement from soccer and your new role as podcast host of the U.S. Soccer Podcast. How are you feeling? How's your new life treating you?
Oh my God, so relieved. So I've known this for a long time, obviously, but for everyone else, it's new news. So I felt like everybody was kind of going through their feels, and I'm like, yeah, I
I
worked
already
through
felt it.
those for like the last 6 months. I'm good. But it was so lovely seeing how kind and like just how amazing the fans were and just how much love they gave. I truly appreciate it. Like, you don't really know the impact that you have unless you tell somebody. And so I really appreciate the fans telling me and letting me know that, what we did and the things that we've done are important. And that's cool. So thank you, everybody. I really appreciated that. It felt really awesome. And yeah, I'm just like stoked to be cruising on to the next thing, having fun doing it.
Well, tell us a little bit about the next thing. You're hosting a new podcast. What is that like? What do you have coming up and how can we listen?
Well, you know a little about that,
I
hosting a
I
podcast.
I do. And that's why, you know what, Kling, I know how important it is for you to get this plug down pat and you got to give everybody the spiel and then tell them where to listen. Do you have it memorized yet?
No, but here we go. I am really excited to do the US Soccer Podcast because when they approached me, I was like, the only way I'm doing this is if I get to talk to the people that I want to talk to and do the stories that I want to do. And they were like, cool, do it. So I told them immediately I didn't want to talk about tactics. I didn't want to be recapping games. I really wanted to get to know the players, the people, what makes them tick, why are they the best at what they do, how do they approach the game differently than other players, things like that, stuff that I'm really interested in. So we're going to be digging into a lot of the human side of the game, a lot of the side that people don't see with the players. So I'm really excited about it. It's been awesome so far. I've had an absolute blast doing it. I love asking questions. I love being curious. So this is a really great role for me.
Oh my gosh, Clayton. Well, congratulations. It sounds like a podcast that I would love to listen to. It honestly also sounds like we can keep working together and listening to each other's
Well,
shows and learning from each other, which is very, very exciting. I love
I
listening
plan
to my
on it.
friends.
Yeah.
I'm really happy for you. I, alongside the fans, am like So excited that you're here and you have had such an incredible career and such a lasting impact on US soccer, on your teammates, on people like me, on all of the fans. So thank you for everything that you've done. Um, I'm super excited
Thank
to
you, Sam.
game tonight, Kling. So let's start with the lineup. Well, before we get to the lineup, how sick are the jerseys?
Yo.
They're
I'm like,
so sick.
I'm like, in my new role, I'm like, get me a jersey.
Yeah. I'll only do this job if I get to talk to the players I want to talk to and wear the jersey.
Yeah, exactly. I wear it like every broadcast.
Yeah, you're just like, it's my uniform. It's actually mandated in my contract that I must wear this. Okay, so the lineup, lots of familiar faces, but two debuts as well with Claudia Dickey in goal, Lily Real at outside back. Both players who I think specifically have been making big impacts on their clubs so far this season, with Claudia in the Seattle Reign allowing the second fewest goals against so far this season, and then Lily Real impressing really on both sides of the ball with Gotham. Kling, I feel like this maybe wasn't the worst game to make your debut in, too. Like, pretty friendly crowd in Colorado. I'd say there's like, right now feels like there's a good vibe on the national team, pretty friendly teammates. They were at altitude, which seems terrible. But what do you think today felt like for these newcomers?
Is it ever a bad day to have a national team debut, Sam?
No, but like there are definitely scarier ones than today.
Oh, 100%. Mine was so scary. Not to like interject myself, but mine was in
Please.
China. Mine was my very first camp, and we went to China, and I'm embarrassed to say this because it's embarrassing because it was probably like a city with 15 million people, but I don't remember where we were. And we were in China, and when I tell you that there was maybe 3.5 people in the stands, and one of the only reasons I played is because one of the players had gastrointestinal distress.
Yeah, yes. The old gastrointestinal distress.
So, anyways, there, like, that was a wild way to make like one of your debuts. So this would be like just rosy. Um, I
Yeah.
I actually thought the players did great. I thought Dickey made a great save when she needed to. Not that
Yep.
there was much to do for her today. Even with her feet, there really wasn't much to do.
I
But
know.
real, but real, I was impressed with. I thought that she, shut stuff down, played forward well. Obviously, she's not the person that is rolling forward like Patterson is. She's more of like setting play back there with Germa and with Sonnet, like one of those type systems. But I still think she did a good job. She kept the ball. She was tough. Nobody was like exposing her, especially in such like you can get a lot of emotions in your first game. So to have like a really solid debut is really great.
Yeah, Lily Real gives me like kind of just like calm veteran vibes, even though she's obviously a rookie and this was her first cap tonight. I kept waiting for a moment where I could see her like really open up and run at full speed because I don't know that I've seen if I can tell how fast she is yet. But there
Mm.
were a few moments, Kling, as I was looking for this, that she touched the ball around her defender, like offensively, and like got in behind that. I was like, wait, is this girl actually wicked fast? Um, you know what? Actually, very suitable that I said wicked fast because she is from Hingham, Massachusetts, which is right around the corner from me. So another almost hometown girl for me to just rant and rave about on this national team
Totally.
alongside Ali Sentnor.
I love
Um,
this.
I know it's very very exciting. Okay, right from the jump, I'm gonna say it was the midfield that stood out to me. Sam Coffey was getting on the ball early. All those rotations were happening, but Sam was getting on it early, turning, playing it forward. Once she found Alyssa Thompson with that long ball, Alyssa
Mm.
took that great chance in behind. That was one of the first kind of chances of the game. But just generally, I think Sam and Claire Hutton were finding the ball, dictating play. And I think, like, obviously, one of the storylines of this camp is we're without the European players besides Naomi Girma. So in the midfield, we're without players who have been in there, Lindsay Heaps, Lily Johannes.
Mhm.
Kling, I'm interested how you liked this combination in the midfield, Sam Coffey, Claire Hutton, and Rose Lavelle.
Well, I think having Rose come back was a huge like point for the United States. Like she looked great. And she was just all over the ball offensively, making stuff happen, getting crosses, 1v1s, 1-2s. I mean, she was all over the place. It looked like vintage Rose Lavelle. And I'm loving that we're seeing that. So just want to see more of that. And then stuff that Sam and Hutton were doing early in the game, were hitting these long balls on a dime into their truly fast, dynamic 1v1 artists like Thompson up top in stride.
Yeah.
That was so cool to watch because those are really tough passes to hit, especially, over the back line into that person's stride, so they don't even need to like break how fast they're going. If you can get them at full speed and then they're able to get that touch and continue on with that pace, it's going to
Yeah.
be so hard to stop. So there's just like small things that I was like, oh, that's really good to see. Overall, I think with Heaps and with Johanna's, like when they're in there, there was a bit more cohesion, but obviously they've been playing together a little bit longer. I think it's just gonna come.
Yeah, for sure. I think that, one of the questions still of this national team as we're building to the World Cup, which is still 2 years away, is who is the best combination of midfielders to play in that 4-3-3? I feel like Sam Coffey has really emerged as kind of like the stable six that gets rotated. It feels like the least. Obviously, Lindsay Heaps has had so many reps, but this camp with 3 games is a huge opportunity to see more combinations of players and different players playing in there. Obviously, speaking of Rose, I am so happy to have Rose back. Everybody who has ever listened to me talk one time knows that Rose is my favorite player in the whole world. She's starting in that 10 position tonight, and she was super dangerous, especially that first 15 minutes, which, I think people were like, this is her first game back. She's starting. She hasn't played in a while. She's been, earning minutes back for Gotham. But she's making these runs in behind. She's looking super dangerous. And then something I noticed, this was right before our first goal. Rose was kind of like lifting the team up and like giving everybody one of these, like, let's go. Like, we need to score a goal. Like, I think the national team always comes out, especially against a team like Ireland, being like, we have to score early. Like, we want to score a lot of goals this game. And
Mm-hmm.
I saw and I noticed that Rose was like, let's raise the level. Like, let's put a goal away. And then Rose is like aware that a short corner is on in that moment while she's communicating and hyping up the team. She goes over to receive the short corner, gets in, crosses it, finds Avery Patterson at the far post with that cross from that corner kick. Avery heads it home. It goes right past Courtney Brosnan, the Irish goalkeeper. And it's Avery Patterson's first ever international goal, which is obviously so exciting. I'm so pumped for Avery, but also have to just say what a huge moment to have Rose leading, recognizing what was available, and then executing that assist. Kling, I want to know your take on this first U.S. goal tonight.
It's just such a heads up play by Rose, totally catching them, completely unaware. And especially coming from Rose, I feel like her getting the team to really push in that moment and then reading that and bringing everybody around, because maybe if Rose didn't have that moment before, the team would have just been like, oh, no, it's okay. We're just going to set this up and take this corner. But
Yeah.
Rose was pushing the team. She was pushing the team. So then she gets over there and is like, okay, let's get this corner going. Boom. Let's play it. It's so smart because, from a corner kick, you're playing from the edge of the complete edge of the field. Where Rose played it from was inside the 18, like just inside the 18. She got the ball. So that makes the cross like, I don't know in terms of like tactically how much X, like higher percentage it is, but like when the closer you get to the goal, like like way higher percentage that it's going to be successful across.
Yep.
Especially in women's soccer. So the closer you can get in there, the higher percentage. So anytime that you can get a short corner like that is really a heads up play and gives your team a huge advantage.
For sure. And then obviously huge congratulations to Avery Patterson scoring your first
Huge.
international goal on a corner kick. Like, it's obviously just so exciting. And
She
hey,
just bossed it too. She
I
bossed
know.
it.
I know.
Yeah.
She was like, this is a 1v1 battle and I'm winning.
Yes.
We're going to talk more about Avery in just a second. I did want to mention though, because as everybody now knows by this point, me and Click are, old experts and old friends. So we're texting throughout the game. We're talking tactics. I think you were texting me maybe like, what's up with the maybe looking a little bit disorganized, like if the girls just out here playing. And I think I started to notice that the more we rotated, sometimes with one of our sixes, like Sam Coffey would drop out wide and send the outside back high. But then there were like these big gaps opening up in the middle of the field. And like a couple times, sure, Ireland tried to get it behind, but like honestly, Ireland was not the team that was going to be able to exploit maybe this like I don't want to say disorganization, but like moments of being out of shape a little bit. I want to know, Kling, what you're thinking during moments like this. Like, is it important for this national team to experiment and practice those rotations and learn? Or are you like, no, we need to like be disciplined all the time and like not let those things open up and not let those things happen?
I personally don't think that this was them experimenting. I think this was inexperience coming into the pitch, which is totally fine. Um, that just happens sometimes, especially with younger players, especially with your first cap, especially with a lot of players who haven't played together before. That kind of stuff just happens. So it didn't bother me as much. I think that's something that Emma and the coaching staff sees, they talk about going forward. The problem that you're referring to, Sam, though, when teams do that is if it's not like together, if it's not movement that's synced, these big gaps become in between the lines. And the issue when you have big gaps in between the lines is that you can be exploited, especially if you're going to be playing against France, Spain, like England, teams that can counterattack or teams that can keep the ball, you can't have these gaps because they'll be super clever,
Mm-hmm.
sit in those holes, and then it's like, oh, do I go get it as an outside back, or does Sam come across and pressure? If you're in too big of shape, then people don't know, okay, am I the person that needs to go, or are you the person that needs to go? And when there's indecision, it creates chaos, and when there's chaos, it creates chances for the other team. So I
Yeah.
totally get what you're saying. I do think that it's just down to an experience and they just need to keep working through it.
Yep.
I feel like with Emma's approach, she's the type of coach that's like, I would rather you go in there, try things, especially when you're new, mess up, that's totally fine, than have me try and put you into a system and then you play like
Rigid
scared.
and scared.
Exactly.
I
Totally.
know the alternative to, and I'm kind of suggesting like maybe we're rotating like a bit aggressively at times. I like
Yeah.
love the fluidity, but I see what you mean. Like sometimes there's this huge like 30-yard hole in the midfield, and I'm like, not only is that like open for like a counterattack, but like now we can't play in there because we
Correct.
don't have any players in there. But I agree that I think the alternative is playing rigid and being really, really stuck. And yes, kind of playing scared and playing like really safe. And so I think this is, again, we have 2 years to the World Cup. We do have some inexperienced players in there. We're working through it. And players will start to recognize, oh, there's a 30-yard gap. Somebody should be in there. Maybe it should be me. Um, I think that what something I really liked about the first half is that I noticed like a lot of like diversity in how we were playing. You've already mentioned that we played some of these long balls. I don't think either of us is advocating that we should be playing like these kick and run balls, but they weren't. They were pinged to our wide forwards foot in stride as she was running in. We're also doing some of these rotations. We're having our outside backs like Avery Patterson cutting inside, which is opening up something totally different. And I want to hear from your perspective, Kling. What is that like as an outside back to be able to drive centrally? What does that open up for the rest of the team?
As you know, Sam, I love outside back and believe it's the hardest position to attack from on the field due to being 11 players in front of you, having a sideline, not very much time. People love to just like run at you. Anyways, all those things. But if you're able to cut inside and break the line by cutting inside, which Patterson did a few times, it literally changes the entire picture for the team. It creates an overload in the middle, which is pretty much the best thing that you could possibly do for your team because then somebody's going to have to step out of shape, but they're going to have to step out of shape from the middle of the field, which is where you want them to do it. So
Mm,
Patterson created like a lot of great moments by baiting them to go outside, looking like she's going to play down the line because she had a few times and they were really good passes. and then instead came inside and open space up for Rose, open space up for Sam and Hutton, and then also gave the wide players like liberty to start making runs towards goal as opposed to like in behind.
Mm.
It makes a totally different picture for everybody going forward.
That point, the last point that you made about so that now our wingers, Alyssa Thompson and Michelle Cooper, are able to make more central runs. They're able to run from outside to in as a player like Avery Patterson is coming central, which is so dangerous. And yeah, of course, at times we'll want those players getting all the way wide and creating 1v1 opportunities. But ideally, like first things first, we want them getting in on goal. So
Totally.
I love that point that you just made. There was lots of chances in the first half, but so far only the one goal off that set piece, Rose Lavelle playing from the short corner into Avery Patterson. And then the second half was winding down and Sam Coffey stepped up, took matters into her own hands, started with some combination play between Rose, Sam, and Alyssa Thompson. And then Sam just kind of kept her run going. She got the ball back. She found herself driving through the box past defenders, finishing with her left foot. Kling, I want to talk about Sam's movement on this goal and how awesome it was to just see her drive forward like this and take this chance.
Well, Sam, I want to hear you talk about it. You're the midfielder.
It's so great. One, to see the combination happen, and then to know that Sam, as the 6, who is now kind of becoming like the third player, and she's kind of just continuing this forward movement, there is a voice in your head as a 6 that says, don't go. And I love that she, one, recognized that she could go, trusted that her other midfielders, maybe she left Rose behind, but probably Claire, she recognized that Claire was in a position to cover that spot. And she just said, I'm going. And I do think that, like, you don't want to go into halftime 1-0. Like you want to go in with good momentum. You want to go in feeling like your team is like figured it out and that you're not frustrated or struggling to score more than one goal. And so to just have her kind of step up there offensively, and she played so fearless for me tonight. Those, we've talked so many times about those long balls. I noticed every time Sam got the ball, she was passing forward. Then to have her drive like this and like dribble through the box and shoot with her left foot, I'm like, go on, Sam. Like, it was so great to see.
Totally. It's like she's opened up a new dimension to her game. With the Thorns in the last couple of years, I would talk to her a lot about like getting face forward, passing forward, going forward. Because if we go sideways or we go back, it allows the other team to just like take space, take up space, take up space. And now she's doing that, not just like some of the time, but almost all of the time. And it makes a total difference for the team. And she's not only doing that with her passing now, she's also doing it with her movement, which is fantastic to see because that's world class. And if you watch back on the clip, I don't know if you can run it during this podcast when you post it next. Do it. When you post
Wait,
it with
we're not allowed to
with
use
the
the
editing.
highlights, but we'll someday.
Okay, fine. But you can actually see like Sam completely unbalancing the team with that run,
Yeah.
unbalancing Ireland with that run. She makes a 1-2 on like the right side of the pitch. Boom, boom. Comes up the middle and actually finishes on the left side of the pitch with her left
What a
foot.
dream.
It's like chef's kiss.
It's like actually like a dream. Like as you were just saying that, I'm just imagining what she was feeling as she like decided to go and the
Yeah.
space just opened up and her touches were good. She sees that there's a gap for her to shoot and I'm just like, dang, that is so awesome. I'm so excited for her. So the team goes into halftime up 2-0, which is a great start to the game. Coming out after halftime, we got a pretty detailed explanation of what Emma Hayes' message to the team was from Melissa Ortiz, one of the reporters today. And I did feel like I needed to follow along. Like I wanted to write it out so that I could really follow along. But what I gathered just listening, I'm not an audio learner, I'm a visual learner. So like I literally needed to do it. This is what I heard. Emma just wanted the team to play faster when executing those rotations. And she said that sometimes in our attempts to rotate, we wouldn't have somebody in the pocket, which Kling, you and I kind of just identified.
Right.
So I could definitely see that. And I'm wondering, Kling, if Emma identified the issue as being like the tempo of the ball movement wasn't fast enough to like almost keep up with the rotations, What was preventing us from playing faster? Is that inexperience or unfamiliarity, or is that Ireland's pressure? What would prevent us from playing at a fast enough tempo?
I definitely don't think it was Ireland's pressure in this game. I think that Ireland did their best, but USA is just a league above. And the only thing that was going to stop us was ourselves.
Mm,
And the tempo on the passing just needed to be sharper
yeah.
and less touches. There was a few times when I saw players taking touches, like 2 touches instead of 1 or 3 touches instead of 2. And I think being able to recognize those moments where we don't actually need that extra touch, we can boom, get the tempo going with 1 touch or 2 touches. That takes so much time to take an extra touch. It literally sometimes takes a whole extra second. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's the complete difference between a gap being open or a gap being closed.
Totally agree. And I'm obsessed that you just led me to this, because the very next thing that I wanted to say was about the third goal, and how it got set up was actually Claire Hutton in the midfield deciding to play with only 1 touch going forward. The ball kind of like got to her. And the next thing I noticed, Claire, instead of taking a touch, she could have cycled it back. She could have done a million things. She plays it forward with 1 touch. And that pace of play, that 1 touch pass sets the tone that, like, okay, now we're going. I'm playing forward with 1 touch. Like, the pace has changed now. Like, we're going
Mhm.
forward. We're going to goal. So Michelle Cooper runs onto that pass. And then from there, I think, again, because of that decision to play quicker and that tempo change, we had great numbers and runs in the box. Ali Sentnor runs onto the ball from Michelle Cooper. She cuts it back to Rose Lavelle, who finished it. I also noticed that we had more numbers in the box than Ireland did. And to me, again, I've said this 6 times in the last 30 seconds, it's the change of tempo that does this for me. And Kling, I know you specifically were pleased with the cutback pass.
Yes, I
Just
was.
before this goal, you texted me like, why I think we're not cutting it back enough. Like, our crossing, we're missing something. So talk to us about not just this goal, but the importance of the cutback in general.
Yeah. Can I first talk about, like, the tempo?
Please.
Okay, because
I'm begging.
I love this, Sam. I'm so happy you talked about this. The tempo can be created by so many different things on the pitch. It can be created by the amount of touches that you use. It can be created by the, like, pace of the pass. But then it can also be created by, like, your movement going forward with the pass. Does that make sense? It's like,
Yeah.
now we're going. So everybody is going slow. Everybody's going slow. Boom, break a line. That's a tempo changer.
Yep.
And that's what Hutton did. And I think that that is totally different too. So like less touches, boom, tempo changer. Going
Yeah.
forward, boom, tempo changer. But then also it's like break a line, tempo changer. And I
Mm.
think the very best teams do that. The very best players do that, breaking lines with tempo. You see that like at the highest level all the time. And so it's so cool to see somebody so young being able to do that with her play. And I think that we're really going to be seeing a lot of really great stuff going forward if the team continues to do stuff like that. Because those are the little things that make a complete difference. It's like, boom, okay, now the entire team's going forward, the entire team's
Yes.
moving. Yeah.
Yes. And I think that again, I know we've said so many times already, it's like, yes, we're a little bit inexperienced and these players don't have a ton of reps together yet, but that's like a universal trigger and like a
Yes.
universal signal. The tempo's changed. We're going forward. We have all these runners in the box now, even
Yeah.
behind Rose, who ended up finishing this goal from Michelle Cooper, from Ali Setnor to Rose. Alyssa Thompson was also behind Rose. And I'm
Yes.
just like, so now we have 4 runners in front of this 1 touch pass because everybody read that this was the trigger to go forward.
Totally.
Um, I was like just obsessed with it. I thought it was so smart. And I do want to just add, Claire Hutton is only 19 years old. She started playing professionally last year for Kansas City. She actually was our guest on the podcast today. For anybody listening who watched the game, who was impressed, who wants to learn more about her, she's so cute and so sweet. Like, I like love her so much. But I need to bring us back around to your cutback point. And can you talk to us just a little bit about the cutback in general?
Yeah, so we were watching. Sam and I are literally texting the whole game. We're such nerds. We're like, "Did you see that? Oh my
Sending
gosh!"
pictures of our dogs.
Oh yeah, and we were like, "Oh, he's knocked out." It's like, I wish that was me. Anyways, um, sorry, guys. I'm hanging on by a thread here. So if my words aren't working, sometimes I'm really sorry.
You're doing
Uh,
so good, Clegg.
Thank you. You too, Sam. So there was a lot of times in the game where I felt like we got ourselves in really excellent positions to cross, whether it was Rose in the first half getting inside the box to be able to cross, or Alyssa Thompson getting end line and being able to cross, or Cooper getting end
Yep.
line and crossing. And the thing that I felt like we were missing was the cutback. It's like there's a few different crosses that you can do when you get down to the end line. One is to the back post in the air, one is on the ground in front of your runners where they can run onto it and bop it in. And then another one, which I felt like we were missing, is the cutback where everybody's running back defensively really, really hard. And then you kind of play it on uh, their back leg. Like they're running this way, the ball is going this way past them.
Yeah. So
And
they would
then
just have to like
our runners,
stab at it with their trail leg
correct.
or
So
fall down.
our runners are like we're having a first wave of runners, and then this it's going to like the second wave of runners, if you will.
Yeah.
So that was what we were kind of missing, I felt like, in some of our crosses. And then soon as we did that, it's outrageous. We scored 2 goals. And I was like, oh my gosh, we need to. I was thinking in my head, I'm like, we need to screenshot this conversation and put it up here.
You know what, everybody? I actually will. I'm not going to show you live now. I will make sure that everything else available on screen can be read, and then we can post it. We absolutely can. Kling, you like called it, nailed it. Which was so smart. I was like, no wonder US Soccer hired her. They need to keep her around. They need to keep picking her brain. So that goal was incredible. I feel like that was just, kind of when it felt like things were flowing really easily. Some changes started happening. And then in the 63rd minute, a player that had been dangerous all game, but like what I noticed was she kept having her shots blocked was Alyssa Thompson. She would like drive inside and like calmly be like, yes, I'm going to shoot. And she would shoot and you could tell it was going to go in, but then it would get deflected at the last minute just because Ireland had so many numbers in the box.
Right.
And I could just sense like Alyssa Thompson wants to score a goal this game. She needs to
Oh,
score a goal
yeah.
this game. She touched the ball around, did that thing all the way back in midfield, passed it around her defender one side, ran on the other side. And I was like, oh, God bless that girl. Got going at speed, cuts inside, and just calmly bends it into the far post. It was actually only also her second international goal claim, which feels like this girl has 25 goals for the national team already.
Yeah,
This
that's
is only
crazy.
number 2. And she's just such a natural goal scorer. You can tell that like every time she gets the ball, she's like, I know where the goal is. And I could just sense that she was going to score tonight.
Honestly, it was reminiscent of like vintage Kristen Press national
I
team
know.
goals, and I feel like maybe she's giving her some pointers and
Some
tips
tips.
in practice because it really did look like a Kristen Press, like kind of bring her this way, but then take the ball the opposite way, bend it to the other side, post in. It was really great to watch. But can I just ask what the heck Ireland was doing? I don't know why they thought that they should drop all the way inside their 18. I'm like, listen, try and like get pressure on her as high up the field as you possibly can. And if somebody gets beat, send somebody else. And if they get beat, send somebody else. I felt like they kept dropping and dropping and dropping, and it just allowed her so much time and space. And she's just such a skilled and smart player that if you give her any more than a second on the ball, she's gonna make good with it. And you saw that.
I mean, totally. Again, she's like a natural goal scorer. And so if she has time and space inside the 18, she's gonna score. So totally agree. And you know what? We are playing Ireland again. I think they were without some of their leaders and better players. Katie McCabe was unavailable. Denise O'Sullivan was out injured from this game. So perhaps Ireland can learn from this game and maybe do some things differently on Sunday. We made a few more changes Obviously, TWG's own Lynn Biondolo stepped onto the field. We were all very excited to see that. Her leg sleeve looking impeccable as always. We also saw 18-year-old center back for Seattle Reign Jordan Bugg come onto the field at center back, which is
Love it.
very exciting. I do just, Kling, also want to bring up one more thing that Julie Foudy had mentioned on the broadcast, and it was just kind of this really great point that there's 3 games in this window, and the next window isn't until October. And so
Crazy.
in hearing from Emma, these games are some players' really main chance to be like, Emma's should keep me around for this build up into the World Cup. It's not about the World Cup roster yet, but it's like, this is that period of time Emma's been giving players chances, but maybe next camp, Emma's like, yeah, I know who my 25, 30 are. I'm interested in Kling. Who do you think is in make or break mode this camp? Like, do you think there are players on the cusp of being in the top 25 that can firm up their spot by doing well this camp?
Gosh, I think that's such a good question because I'm of two minds. I'm like, they'll have all of this time to make up and show in the league and show in their European league, if that's where they're playing, to show that they should be a part of this team.
Mm-hmm.
And also, being good at NWSL doesn't necessarily correlate with being great on the national team because it's a different system. They're asking for different qualities, and sometimes it just doesn't match. But I do think, like, the young players like Thompson put it, I don't think she's a cuss player at all, but I think this, like, really showed,
Yeah.
even if Mal Pugh was around and Soph
Wilson.
Wilson, thank you, was around and Trin was around, that they would be, like, put on high alert. Like,
Yeah.
there are players that are just really standing out. I feel like Hutton made a great case for herself. I think honestly, Sonnet's making a good case for herself to be
I know.
a starter back there.
It seems like
Um,
Sonnet is the first person on Emma's like team sheet. Sonnet's
that's what
been
I'm
start
saying.
like,
I think she's doing great too.
yeah.
I don't feel like Sonnet's having um like any issues that I'm seeing that it's like, oh, she shouldn't be the starter. No, I think that she has done great. I think her and Germa are an
Totally.
excellent pair. So I think not necessarily I can talk about like the cusp players, but I think players that firmly should be in camp are making like a real case for themselves.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that Avery Patterson's performance tonight, coupled with her performances in Houston recently, obviously Houston's not having the most success, but Avery's been a consistent performer for them. I think Avery is like pushing to be one of these core players. My other question for you, Kling, and then we're going to get to everybody else's questions. So if you're not in line, get in there. Is I know that you played with Olivia Moultrie a lot in Portland, and I'm so curious about her role within this team. She's been in and out a little bit. I know she's had a couple of injuries. Where do you think she's pushing to be? How do you think Olivia Moultrie can push to get herself into this core group of players?
I think Liv has to push for like the center mid role. Like that's where she is at her best. So she needs to be in that space. I think that she needs to push a little bit more in terms of getting in the box, getting chances. She's at her best when she's shooting. And
Yeah,
she's getting
as
like,
we
well,
saw
you
tonight
saw
with
that
that
today.
crossbar. Yeah.
Exactly. Like she take shots that I'm like, holy cow, why are you doing that? And then it's like, oh yeah, that's why she's doing that. You know, so she needs to get herself in areas where she's able to do those things. And that's harder in these type of games than it is
Yeah.
in the NWSL because you're not playing them as often.
Right.
So she just needs like a bit more experience to get in those spaces, but also like it's tough because she's competing against Rose Lavelle and Heaps and Johannes. Like it's a really, really crowded midfield of really great players. But where Liv stands out, in my opinion, as opposed to maybe some of the other younger players, is that she is like more likely to get on the score sheet. Like she pushes
Mm.
for goals. She is the type of midfielder that wants to score every single game, not just like make plays, not just shut stuff down, not just
Yeah.
like create assists. Like she wants to actually make goals.
That actually kind of reminds me of Lindsay Heaps in a way. It's like, yeah, you can be the 8 and you can get assists and you can make great defensive plays, but Lindsay always has this like, well, I'm going to score 2. I'm getting in the box. I'm going to
Totally.
get my head on it, or I'm going to shoot. I'm going to make runs in there. And you explaining that about Olivia Moultrie really reminds me of Lindsay, and I do think Olivia emulates some of Lindsay's qualities in a way. So I'm excited to see more from her. I think this is the camp for us to see it. Okay,
Well,
Kling.
she did grow up like with Lindsay, like in
At
her
Portland.
most formative like years, she learned from Lindsay. So
Yeah.
I'm not really that surprised that they're kind of like similar in that way.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think it's cool and will be interesting to keep an eye on. Okay, Kling, your analysis was incredible as always. I am excited for more of it because we're at that part of the show. We're going to hear from you all, our listeners. So if you want to join us here live on YouTube, like I said, scan the QR code in the top left of your screen, or you can click the pinned comment in the chat. It's going to take you into Zoom with our producer, Tony. Tony will tell you everything you need to know. You're not going to be on screen. If you don't want to ask a question, just give us a like. It actually really helps a lot more than you know. Okay, so when I call your name, remember to take yourself off mute, tell us where you're from, and ask your question. Up first, we are going to mix it up this time. Avery, I see that you're in here. I'm going to get to you in just a second. We're going to mix it up, and we're going to go Eliana from Seattle. Eliana, can you take yourself off mute and tell us your question?
Hi, oh my God, hi, sorry, I'm probably going to get emotional. You guys are like my idols.
Eliana, hi.
Hi, so anyway, I'm from Seattle, and I'm a huge Lynn and Rain fan. And you know, Sam, I actually was, sorry, there's my mom playing music. So anyway,
okay.
I was actually going to walk on the field with the players after your live show, and I saw you, and I was like, great job at the show, Sam, and you were literally so nice. So anyway,
I act surprised as if I'm not just always an angel to everybody.
Oh,
Eliana, thank you so much. It is so great to hear from you, and thank you so much for all of your support. Do you have a question for us?
Yeah. So anyway, what do you think Emma's looking for in the players getting their first call-up? And also, if you were an ice cream flavor, what would you be, including toppings?
Wow. Oh my gosh, a double whammy. Okay, Kling, what do you think Emma is looking for in these first-time call-ups?
I think she's just looking for them to be be themselves. Like be
Yeah.
yourself. Show me what you can do. Show me your best self. Like just be you. That's all I want. And I think because all she wants to do is be able to analyze their play and just like see where they fit and see how they do at this level.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's also like exactly what you're saying, Kling, be yourself, but also like don't let the moment overwhelm you because the World Cup is going to be way more stressful than this. So like as much as I joke about how I would like panic, you know, in all these like big moments, it's like you do have to like emulate calm at the World Cup. So it's like if this is just a friendly in Colorado and you know your teammates are all being nice to you and the crowd is friendly, like you should be able to get over the jitters a little bit. And so I think Emma is also looking for that. Like, can you handle the pressure a little bit? Eliana, if I was an ice cream flavor, I'm just gonna go with my favorite coffee ice cream with chocolate sprinkles.
Are you gonna give us a why?
Why is that my favorite?
Yeah. No, like why would you be that one?
Well, I don't really know why. I just picked my favorite.
Okay, Eliana, I'll give you a why. I think I would be a vanilla soft serve with rainbow sprinkles because
Beautiful.
because I feel like vanilla it's like people's favorite for a reason, but then obviously I have a little extra sparkle. And that goes on top.
And maybe we could both even have a little cherry on top.
That sounds nice. I do love cherries.
Me too. Eliana, what's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Chocolate chip cookie dough, I think.
Oh my gosh,
Oh, that's a good
yum.
one.
Really good one. Eliana, incredible questions. Thank you so much for calling in. We
Thank
hope
you.
to hear from you again soon. Okay, we do have time for several more questions, everybody. Insha, can you take yourself off mute and tell us where you're from?
Hi, Sam and Kling. I'm Insha. I'm from Freehold, New Jersey, so go Gotham.
Go
Um,
Bats.
and and my question for you is about the altitude. So obviously playing at a high altitude is more physically exhausting for the players, but for the coach and just like the team as a whole, does the strategy change for high altitude games, or is it just a matter of needing to individually push through it more?
Good
Great
question.
question.
Like pretty like professional top level question.
Totally.
Kling, I'm gonna let you speak to this one.
Oh, it 100% plays into the game plan, especially if you haven't been at altitude, training at altitude. But there's also like some sort of weird, I don't know if this is true for you, Sam, but if I play within 48 hours of getting an altitude, it doesn't affect me. But then after that, I get crushed by it. I think it's scientifically actually a thing where the altitude kind of doesn't hit you for like a certain amount of time.
Mhm.
So I think people try and either get there like much earlier to try and like
Acclimate
I'm
all the
talking
way.
months earlier, like acclimate all the way or get there like with as little time as possible to mitigate the altitude. And then you're right, you just have to push through it as best you can and sub when you need to and just like do what you need to do.
Yeah, for sure. I notoriously I was a player who like couldn't even handle the heat. So like don't even get me going on altitude. Like I was absolutely hopeless. I do think strategy changes both as an individual. You try to prepare, even better if possible. But Insha, I love that question. Thank you so much. And I hope that Gotham has a lot of success the rest of the season.
Thank you guys. I hope so too.
Thanks, Insha.
Bye, Ninja.
Okay. It is time for everybody's favorite guest, Avery. I'm so happy that you're
Avery,
here. Avery, can you take
hi.
yourself off mute?
Hi, Sam and Kling.
Hi,
Hi,
Avery.
Avery. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
We're so great. It's so nice to hear from you. Are you on summer break?
Yes.
Oh my
I've
gosh.
been on summer break for almost a month. I got out at the very end of May.
Oh my
Holy
gosh.
cow.
What an incredible summer you're gonna have. What are your plans this summer?
I'm going to the live on Monday.
Ah,
Amazing.
Avery!
Oh,
Oh my
I'm
gosh. If
good.
just in case anybody else is listening to this and is not in on these TWG Lives late night all the time, Avery is a recurring guest. She calls in every single time we do these, even when they're late at night, which is amazing. And Avery is going to be at our live show in DC on Monday. Avery, I cannot wait to see you there. Do you have a question for us tonight?
Yes.
Okay, let's hear it.
My question is, what's your opinion on the up and coming triple espresso 2.0, which if you don't know is the Thompson sisters and Croy Bethune? And what's your favorite concert you've been to?
Oh my gosh. Wait, is Alyssa, Giselle, and Croy, like, is that an official Triple Espresso 2.0?
It seems like it.
Oh my gosh, this
Hey.
is the first time hearing of it, but I'm obsessed.
Avery's making it so.
Yeah,
It's official now.
it's definitely official now. I'm obsessed with that. I love it so much. I think that's such an incredible group, and I hope that they, create their own sort of coffee drink that to whatever suits them best. What was my favorite concert? Kling, can you go first? Taylor
Sure.
Swift?
Well, I mean, Taylor Swift's very cool. Is that what you're picking?
Yeah, I panicked and then I was like, wait, I know my answer.
Taylor Swift. My favorite is I don't know if you've heard of this band, Avery, but it's called Haim, and it's these three sisters from LA, and they're like a rock band, and I have been listening to them since like 2013 when I was living in Sweden, and I was like, oh, I just found this cool band, and I was like jamming out to them. And I ended up going to one of their concerts in Portland when they were touring their very first album, and literally there was maybe 500 people there. And I was just standing at the very front of the stage, and they were just jamming out so hard. on their instruments and just like looked like they were having so much fun. And they still do the same thing, but now they open for Taylor Swift. So it's like it's
They're
crazy.
huge.
But it was so cool just seeing how good they were live.
That's incredible playing.
I'm obsessed with them.
Avery, have you been to any concerts? Do you have a favorite yet?
Yes, I'm going to a concert in San Francisco at Golden Gate Park to see Zach Bryan in August.
Wow.
And then-
Amazing.
And then probably my favorite concert I've been to right now is like last year I saw Brandy Carlisle at the Anthem in DC.
Avery, you're deep. You got an old soul, sis.
Avery, that is so cool. It's always so amazing to hear from you. So thank you so much for calling in. Your questions crushed tonight.
No problem. I'll see you on Monday.
Sounds good, Avery. I will see you on Monday. Oh my gosh. Okay, Avery, MVP. Okay, we have time for one more quick question, and I think we're going to get it from Christina. Christina, can you take yourself off mute?
Oh my gosh, hi, how can I follow Avery? Thanks for having me. I live in the Bay Area. Happy Pride. And my question's really silly and really simple, but why do they water the grass during halftime?
I literally love this question.
Same. I'm so happy you asked it. Do you want to go first, Sam?
No, not when you're this excited.
Oh my God, I love this. I get asked this question so much, and it's one of my favorite things because people just like don't get it. They're like, "Oh, you're hot," and I'm like, "No." I'm like, "Yes, but no."
Wait, Christina, can you guess first before Clayton explains it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, not to put me on the spot. I'm worried. I feel like maybe if it's too dry, your cleats get stuck, but that's probably a silly reason.
No, it's not silly. That's very close. So the reason that we water the field is so that the ball rolls faster
Mm.
and moves faster. So the whole point of watering the grass is so the ball doesn't get stuck in the grass. If you actually watch it when it's watered and a player passes the ball across the ground, the ball will actually kind of do like a backwards sort of spin or like not move, and it'll just skim across the top of the grass and then finally catch it and roll. But anyways, it makes the ball move in a way that's like much smoother. So you can take like you can do one touch passes a lot easier when they're coming into you. You can have a better first touch, and also it moves faster. So players love it because you're able to get the game moving at a faster pace.
Literally a perfect answer, Clayton. You know what it makes me think of is when you'd like, I mean, when you were a kid, obviously, but then even when you'd be like training on your own in the off season and you'd like go out to a local field and the grass would be a little bit long and it would be really dry. And you would just be like, oh, I stink at soccer. I like have to quit. Like they're never gonna let me play professionally ever again because when the ball moves slow like that, it's like you don't even feel like sharp or like good. So
And it gets stuck.
yeah, and you're like tripping
Yeah.
over it and it's so embarrassing and you're just out there alone like, "Oh my god, can I even do this?" Christina, actually such a great question. I'm so glad that you asked. And
Thanks,
how
Christina.
Thank you
exciting.
so much.
Christina, the NWSL Championship is in the Bay Area this year.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
Are you gonna
Come
go?
visit. Oh, absolutely. I went when it was in San Diego, so I can't wait to drive down just an hour to San Jose to go see it. I just have to say, Kling, I went to the 2015 World Cup. You're my favorite player, and I had a sign for you. So thank you so much for all your years playing
Thank you,
soccer. You're the best.
Christina.
Yep.
Thank you so much. That's so kind. And thanks for being there. I mean, we were having such a blast, and it felt like we had home games every single game that tournament because you all traveled so, so well. So we are just as grateful for you all. And you probably don't get to hear that from us. So I wanted you to hear that.
Thanks. Thank you all for all you do.
I'm like so glad that just happened, Christina. Bless Kling. That was so much fun. A huge thank you to all of you for calling in and being with us today. We literally couldn't make the show without you because it relies on you so much. Like this show is so awesome because you guys call in. So I'm really, really grateful to everybody who takes the time to call into that Zoom. Kling, before we wrap up, hi, buddy. Is it almost bedtime?
He's so tired, but Sesame wanted to say hi.
Sesame. That's so cute. If
Look
you're
at her.
listening, if you're listening to this on audio, Kling is showing me her dog.
And he's quite tired and cute. He's
Oh my gosh.
he just
Oh
fell
my
over.
gosh. I like need to go now because I'm just like, oh my God, I need to go see my dog. But I do have one last question for you, Kling.
Yes.
So we're playing Ireland again on Sunday, but then we have this big game against Canada on
Yes.
Wednesday. And I just want to know, like, there's been a lot of talk over here at TWG headquarters about this rivalry between the U.S. women's national team and Canada. And so I think to just get us a little bit fired up for the game, what's your favorite memory of beating Canada?
The look on Christine Sinclair's face when we win. Yeah. Quote me.
Oh, I'm sure we will, Kling. I am sure that we will. Okay, everybody. Coming up next for TWG, we have a Euros preview podcast with Anita Asante dropping tomorrow. Tons of Euros content coming up as the Euros start next week. Then we're going live after the U.S. women's national team game on Sunday with Heather O'Reilly, who I'm so excited to catch up with.
Oh, cool.
Monday, we're live in D.C. with Avery at the Howard Theater with Raj, Becky Sauerbrunn, Casey Stoney, and more. All of our podcasts, including that live show, will be available here on YouTube and on our podcast feed, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow along across all of our social media, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, TikTok at Women's Game MIB. Plus, you can send us an email at womensgamemib@menofblues.com. I love hearing from all of you. Kling, thank you again so much for doing this. I hope you have a good night's sleep.
Thank you.
So great to see you. Thanks to all of our callers. Thanks to everybody at the Women's Game and Men in Blazers. I'm Sam Mewis. This is the Women's Game. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you soon.